What's going on, everybody? I'm Zach, and I'm here with Patrick.
What up?
We are your hosts for the Rent-ish podcast, a podcast that's kind of about rental properties and hosted by two guys that work in the real estate industry and sort of know what they're talking about.
But mostly don't.
Yeah, Patrick, mostly we don't, which is why I think you're going to have fun hearing us talk to experts and learning along with us or laughing at maybe how little we know. But it's going to be a good episode today, Patrick. We got 3 awesome segments to talk about today. We got a story that I'm just going to tease as 23 mattresses in the house.
Okay.
That I can't wait to hear your dramatic narration of. We're going to learn all about the Guggenheim, which is one of the most famous art history buildings there. And then we're going to finish the show off with a bunch of listener questions. Sound like a good time?
Sounds like a good time to me.
Yeah. Can we talk about this for a second? This studio.
Yeah, new studio setup. I'm loving it.
New studio. Who
comfy
dis?
chairs now. Yes.
Yeah, we've got microphones that like have arms attached to them, so it's like we got this whole setup. It feels a lot more professional. Do you feel like a professional?
Moving
now?
up in the world, I feel very much like a professional.
Yeah. We might not know what we're talking about when it comes to the real estate part, but at least we look like podcasters.
Right.
If NPR walked into this room, they'd be like, hire these guys right now.
Yes. I still had to make my own cup of coffee, so hopefully we can, move up and get a coffee boy.
What a shame.
Yes,
what a shame.
I know.
You got to do all the legwork. You got to put the pot in the Keurig. You got to close the Keurig.
The things that I deal with to make this podcast happen.
We're sacrificing our lives for you listeners out there. Thanks for listening to The Rent-ish. We're really, really excited to do this episode today. You want to dive in, Pat?
Let's do it.
Okay, cool.
Like you briefly mentioned, we got the 23 mattresses in the house Tenant horror story here. I'm going to be doing a dramatic reading of the story once again.
Can't wait.
Story comes from Steve, a landlord in Indiana, who thought he was renting his old family house to a nice couple with one child. But as months passed, things took a sinister turn. Steve's house wasn't just housing a small family. It had become a nightmarish den of filth and overcrowding that would haunt him long after the tenants disappeared.
What a ghoulish opening statement.
It's a tenant horror story.
This reads like the best IMDb movie I've ever going to see. So.
Let's dive in here. The house loomed before me, an all too familiar relic of my childhood. But as I stepped out of my car, a sense of foreboding settled over me like a thick fog. The smell was already there, heavy and suffocating, even from 20 feet away. It clung to the air, a grotesque mix of rot and decay, crawling into my lungs with every shallow breath. I had no intention of getting closer without protection, so I turned on my heel, got back into the car, and sped off to the nearest store to grab a respirator. I wasn't about to let whatever festered seep into my system.
I don't think anyone's ever said respirator as hardcore as you just did. I appreciate that.
Thank you. That's a compliment.
Yeah.
When I returned, mask strapped tight to my face, the dread only deepened. I stood at the front door, the handle cold and unyielding under my gloved fingers, with which I didn't know that was used as an adjective. Gloved.
Gloved.
Yeah, that's my new word.
I think
there.
Gloved, but
Gloved.
Gloved is great though.
That's what I thought it was.
That's fabulous.
Yeah. Okay. Word of the day. With a deep breath, I pushed it open, and the full force of the stench hit me like a tidal wave. I had to grip the door frame for support, my vision blurring for a moment as nausea threatened to overwhelm us. This was beyond filth. It was as if the house itself had been consumed by some festering disease spreading into every corner and crevice.
Yikes. Whew.
Yikes.
I don't like where this is going. I got to tell you right now. Bad smells, can't do it.
I'm wondering what it like. I wish I could smell it. I wish we had a 4D sort of podcast experience.
Do you?
Yeah. I'm kind of curious.
Come on, producers. What do you got? They've got like stink bombs ready. They're lighting them up in the podcast studio.
Sniffs.
It's a one and done use podcast studio. We're about to destroy this place.
The living room was a war zone. The walls were pockmarked with gaping holes as though fists or worse had torn through them in fits of rage. The carpet was no longer recognizable as fabric, instead a grimy patchwork of stains, fluids, and debris.
Oh my God.
Trash was everywhere, piled high in every direction. Broken furniture, plastic bags stuffed with God knows what, half-eaten food molding in forgotten corners. But that wasn't the worst of it. The furniture, the sofa where my family once sat, was smeared with shit. Whew. Literal human waste. The rancid, sickly brown streaks marking the cushions like crude war paint.
God, Patrick, we got to be careful. I mean, we might be turning off some listeners, but make sure this episode is marked as like explicit.
Yeah, right. I'm reading as it comes. I'm not.
Gosh, that's
also,
awful.
like these descriptions are very
vivid. Yeah.
Yeah, very.
Mark Twain wrote this Tenant horror story.
Yeah, nice use of the simile there, Steve from Indiana. I couldn't fathom how. How could that nice-looking couple, the one my parents had rented to, have done this? How could their child have lived in this? Worse still, there was the whispered rumor that they had another family staying with them. One family could barely fit in the place, let alone two. But as I stepped cautiously through the wreckage, I began to realize the truth was far more grotesque than I could have imagined. The hallway leading to the basement was almost impassable, blocked by bags of trash stacked high, each one bulging as though stuffed with something alive. My steps echoed hollowly down the wooden stairs as I descended into the dim, humid gloom below. The moment my foot hit the basement floor, I froze. Mattresses. The basement was crammed with them, filthy, stained slabs of fabric thrown haphazardly across the floor. I counted them quickly, horror mounting with each one. 6 mattresses in the basement alone, and no sign of frames or bedding. Just a sea of tattered, soiled cloth. And that was just the beginning.
Oh, please. No more.
I forced myself to explore the rest of the house, walking like a ghost through the corridors. Upstairs, the bedrooms were no different. Mattresses piled on top of each other. No box springs, no pillows, just these bare, stained husks scattered throughout the rooms. How many people had lived here? 23? More? It was as though the house had become a tomb for the living. The filth, the filth on the mattresses wasn't just dirt. It was something older, something primal.
Holy cow. Thank you for writing this. This is without a doubt the most dramatic thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's like Edgar Allan Poe for sure.
Love it. That's great.
My heart pounded in my chest as I stood in the center of all, surrounded by the... What is this word? Detritus? Detritus?
I'm going to go with detritus. Okay. I think that's the right word.
Nice word there, Steve. 23 mattresses, a hellscape within 4 walls. I turned to leave, desperate to escape the oppressed weight of the house, but as I reached the door, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was still watching me, something that had been left behind, and it wasn't just the stench.
I'm pretty sure that this is how the HBO Dairy TV show is going to go about Pennywise.
I don't know about this show.
Yeah, did you know that?
No, I've not heard of this.
Yeah, HBO's doing a Welcome to Dairy, like a Pennywise prequel to It.
Oh, okay.
Well, but either way, 23 mattresses and Pennywise is chilling out in this whole house, I guess.
I was about to say, we got some content for you, HBO.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for writing in with that Tenant horror story. Holy cow. Thank you for the narration. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
That is a real poetic way to say what a horrific situation that must have absolutely been.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sure this person was like an English major in college or something. Yeah. He got, he's using that degree.
Absolutely. Have you ever been into a really crappy house like that, like a place that's just completely unkept like that?
I mean, definitely not this bad.
No, not.
I mean, obviously, in
it's
college,
like a war zone.
Oh, yeah. In college, doing house tours of place, it's just you see some ungodly stuff. But yeah, not 23. Feces stained mattresses.
No, that's a rarity. That's a rare Pokemon. The worst one that I ever saw was touring. I saw a house a few years back, and the tenants must have recently moved out, but the landlord didn't completely clear out the fridge, and I guess that they forgot about that or something like that. So I went in and opened the fridge for whatever reason, and it was horrific, just a sight that you absolutely don't want to see. And it's you have to think how do you not catch that? Isn't that don't you do that?
Yeah.
Shouldn't you check that frequently?
Yeah, you would think. I mean, I will say in my college house senior year, my roommates had a party one time in the basement and left all of the glasses of alcohol and stuff there for 6 more months.
6 months?
There were species growing in those cups. It was disgusting. Everyone was too scared to clean it up because
oh my
they were
God.
truly starfish looking bacteria species growing in it was very, very disgusting.
College kids, you got to pour out the wounded soldiers. You can't let them fester on the battlefield.
Yeah, I tell my roommates that.
All right, well, that was a really good Tenant horror story, man. That was a really fun one. Thank you again, Steve. If you have a Tenant horror story that you would like us to read on the air, email questions@therentishpod.com. You want to talk about some buildings, Patrick?
Let's do it.
All
what
right,
building are we talking about today?
We are going to talk about the Guggenheim. Typically, Proptology with Patrick has been one of my favorite segments here, but we're going to go ahead and switch it on over to Zach with Prop Properties, Zach.
Yeah, there's no ring there. Yeah. We'll have to workshop that one.
Yeah, the props with Zach, something like that. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Producers, get on that. The Guggenheim. Obviously, we could talk about the building itself, the photo. First things first, we're going to do word association. When you see the Guggenheim, that building, what first comes to your mind? Go.
Future and like a Google Home thing, like a modem or something.
Yeah, okay, I see that. I was going to say future toilet. Like,
okay, I see
it's kind of got like the bowl, or like one of those things where, like, you remember the ride at water parks where it's like you swoop down a thing.
Like the toilet bowl.
Yeah,
those are the best.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, except for it's like in the future.
Yeah.
Guggenheim Museum. It's a landmark of modern and contemporary art, which is located in New York City. Patrick, have you been to the Guggenheim?
I have not.
Okay.
I actually did not know this is what it looked like until today.
Yeah. It's been on my list. I'm a huge art museum fan. Like, I love the MoMA, the Contemporary Art Institute, like all of this stuff. I love going to visit all these different museums. I love art museums. I've never been to the Guggenheim, but it's on my list. It was part of the Solomon R. Guggenheim Foundation, central to the city's cultural identity. Of course, it's notable for its unique architecture and diverse art collection. Yeah, I mean, the building itself, what I think stands out the most about it is that it is a unique architectural look here. I mean, the colors, the way that it has the big white base that has this like more modern looking building. It's all like very smooth edge, but then it has this like cylindrical thing going up the top with all these like beautiful colors. I was looking at the other pictures that our producers have in the doc, but the inside of the Guggenheim in that spiral, it's like different rows where people can walk around and look at the museum, but also it's just like goes right down the center. It's this big open, like, it's almost like the spiral parking garages is what's coming to mind. So you see that? Like, all those people can just stand on the ledges and like look at each other while they're looking at the art. Super cool concept. Really, really unique design for an art museum. And, you know, it makes sense, right? You would want to, you have this museum that's highlighting modern and contemporary art, which is some of my favorite. Like, I love modern art museums in the way that people are able to curate really interesting different takes on what art is rather than like traditional style. So it makes sense that a building like this would have its own unique identity.
Definitely a one-of-the-kind building there. How old is the building?
Oh, let's see here. Let's go through some history. How about some history highlights, Pat?
Perfect.
Solomon R. Guggenheim, which is just, what a name.
Yes.
What a name.
That's a sweet name.
It sounds like a custom name in like an RPG. Wealthy art collector who established the foundation in 1937 after showcasing his collection at the Plaza Hotel. Frank Lloyd Wright designed it.
I know that name.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Who's that?
Well, he was like he was an architect, designer. Like, he did a lot of like furniture designs too. Frank Lloyd Wright. Like, if you Google search Frank Lloyd Wright house, you'll see like a lot of his signature like modernist style.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Simon and Garfunkel song.
Maybe that's no. I took an art history class and the name is ringing a bell.
Okay.
Where I know from not. I don't know. But
Frank Lloyd Wright furniture is the stuff that it's like if you ever find it at a Goodwill, you snatch it up.
Okay.
You just find it.
I'll be on the lookout.
You get it. You go on the lookout. He commissioned it in 1943, featuring a groundbreaking spiral form, which was construction starting in 1956 and completed in 1959. So. Took about 3 years to build.
Older than I thought. So this is like almost 70 years old.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Late 50s, early 60s, modern art. Been around for a while, turns out.
Huh.
Initial reactions from the public. The design was controversial. It was compared to, quote, an inverted oatmeal bowl, end quote, and a, quote, washing machine.
Okay.
I get the washing machine.
I don't get the oatmeal. That's a very specific
inverted oatmeal bowl.
Yeah, like I don't even know what that would look like.
Bowl? Yeah. I mean, I eat oatmeal out of the same bowl I eat my cereal out of.
I know, right?
Typical bowl. So the architectural note here: Wright wanted a red hue for the building, but it was painted light gray as per Guggenheim's and the museum director's choice. So originally, I guess they wanted it to have like a red tint, but now it's kind of got that white. That cream white or whatever. But I think it kind of looks cool. Like, it sticks out among, like, the photo that we have on our document. It's, like, these two more typical standard sky rises in, like, a city. And then you just have this, like, boom, feature building in between them. It's really cool.
It is very cool. I'm trying to, like, picture what it would look like with a red hue or tint.
Like a red washing machine.
Or a red inverted oatmeal bowl.
Keep on the lookout next time. We'll talk about the inverted oatmeal bowl. We got to figure that one out. Both Wright and Guggenheim passed away before the museum's opening. Sad,
Oh man,
sad
that
history
that
note
is
there.
sad. Yeah.
But at least I got to see it like constructed. I'm guessing like you got put this beautiful vision in place for this museum. You know,
Yeah.
bummer that they're not around for the actual opening of it, but it's cool that their legacy has lived on for this many years.
That is very cool.
Fun facts. You ready for some trivia here?
Let's do it.
We have the admission fees for the museum.
What?
They wrote down the. Okay, so here, were you ever curious to know the admission fees for the Guggenheim? Well, we've got them. It costs
Why are those in the fun facts section?
Okay, so I think the reason they were in there is because I told one of our producers it would be funny if we got, or interesting if we got the admission prices when it first opened. But I think we just pasted the admission prices now.
Directly from their website. Why did he it seems like there's another, I'm looking at the sheet, there's another way more fun fact that's just crossed out.
Yeah, what's the crossed out fun fact here? That's not a fact? That's a lie?
We'll read it.
Okay, we're going to read it. The museum, one of the fun facts that we had on the document was that the museum's interior is painted nearly every day to maintain its pristine white appearance, but apparently I'm hearing that might be fake news.
That's an awesome fact.
We'll fact check that.
But can we confirm that the admission fee is
$25
$25 for adults? Is that confirmed?
I think that's got to be confirmed.
And is it true, Zach, that the students and senior discount is $18?
That's also true. Yeah.
And is it true, Zach, that children under 12 get in free?
Yeah, that is also true.
Wow.
Okay, it is painted every day. So that trivia fact is true.
Okay, let's uncross that one out then.
Unstrike that from the list. That's a trivia fact. Love it. And then, New York City residents, free admission on the first Friday of each month from 4 p.m. to 8.
Oh, wow.
It's like we're shilling for the Guggenheim. This segment brought to you by Guggenheim. All right, so movies. Let's talk movies, Patrick. You and I love movies.
Yeah.
We're a big fan
Let's
of
get on
movies.
the right track.
The Robert De Niro connection.
Okay.
The father of actor Robert De Niro once worked as a guard in the Guggenheim. Isn't that interesting?
That is a weird pull. That is such an interesting fun fact.
7
I'm glad
degrees of
that.
separation between De Niro and the Guggenheim.
Right.
All right, movies filmed in the location at the Guggenheim. Men in Black, 1997.
Mm-hmm.
The museum's spiral interior serves as the backdrop for one of their action scenes. Do you remember this?
I don't remember which one. No, I've seen the movie multiple times. It's been a sec though. Which scene is it?
It's like the fight scene. I think that's not Tommy Lee Jones. What? Yeah, Tommy Lee Jones, right?
Yeah,
Isn't Tommy Lee Jones
him
in the
and
Men
Will
in Black?
Smith? Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like one of the scenes where he's fighting one of the bad guys or one of the aliens there. But yeah, I do kind of remember that scene. Men in Black, never one of my favorite.
It's a good movie, but yeah, it's not one of
franchises.
my favorites per se.
Yeah, it's all right. Let's get the International up in here. 2009. Memorable shootout occurs inside the Guggenheim, showcasing the design. Do you remember this one?
Oh, I've not seen that movie.
I don't even know what this movie is. The International, yeah. Cactus Flower, 1969, classic comedy drama, includes scenes shot at the museum.
I don't know that one either.
All right, we're
I'll have to
over
add
3.
that to the watch
3
list.
Days of the Condor,
Great
1975.
movie.
Okay, so then we
one of the
we got
best
one.
political thrillers out there. It's
Really?
super good. Highly recommend. Robert Redford, he's my man.
I like Robert
Yeah,
Redford.
I really like him too.
Robert Redford spy thriller, 3 Days of the Condor. That's a prequel to Captain America: The Winter Soldier, right? Yeah.
It could be, honestly.
Yeah. Manhattan, 1979. This is Woody Allen's romantic comedy, which used the museum as one of its New York City landmarks.
Never one of my favorite Woody Allen movies, but
I've not seen it.
It's solid.
Would it surprise you to know I've never seen a single Woody Allen
Really?
movie? No.
That does surprise me.
Yeah.
Okay,
I've heard
some...
that. What's the one? Macy Gray, Nancy,
Annie
what's
Hall?
it called? Annie Hall. There you go.
great movie. If you're gonna get into Woody Allen, I would recommend that being a good starting point.
Okay, cool. We'll have to add that to the list. But no, the Guggenheim, it's a cool building.
Yeah.
It's on my list of museums to visit. I really would like to. The next time I make a trip to New York City, I'm gonna have to check it out.
I was in Chicago a couple weekends ago, and I went to the Chicago Art Institute.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
So cool.
So
yeah,
awesome.
I'm kind of on an art museum kick now, actually. So I definitely want to check this one out.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, that's Proptology with Zach. Hopefully it was a fun little segment. Maybe next time Patrick will talk to us about another building. But we're going to transition over to listener questions. I don't think we still don't have did we work on a segment title for this?
Wasn't it originally Zach with the facts, but then you're not actually...
That's the news segment.
Oh, okay.
We still need to workshop a title for the news segment, so we'll figure that out.
Yeah, okay.
But
tentatively listener questions.
Okay, so today we're going to dive into another round of listener-submitted real estate questions to questions@therentishpod.com. Remember, we are not certified experts, so always check with a professional before making any major decisions here, but we're going to do our best to give you some solid tips and insights. So get comfy, and let's jump right into these new questions from our amazing listeners across the country. Patrick, do you want to kick it off, or do you want me to?
I can kick it off.
Go for it, bud.
Okay, first question here is from Donna. Donna is from Miami, Florida, and she's a first-time landlord who recently purchased a duplex in a vibrant, up-and-coming neighborhood near the city's trendy Wynwood?
I would guess Wynwood is
Wynwood
probably how you
district.
pronounce
Okay, I've not been to Miami, but okay, Wynwood district. And Donna asks, what should I look for during property inspections? Zach, you got any thoughts on that one?
Well, because we're clearly experts on
as
property.
an expert.
All the inspection stuff. I would say, we got safety first, right? So smoke detectors, carbon monoxide alarms, secure locks on doors and windows, like making sure that all of like the basic entryways work.
Right.
I would expect like hazard inspection. There's probably easy things that you could point out with the naked eye, like, oh, that stair is a little rickety, or there could be something here that we might need to like actually call a repair person for, like if you notice drips or anything like that. That's an easy thing that you could point out, but again, like that's probably like a consult with the professional thing,
right?
Where you want to get someone to actually tell you what the stability is of it. Like people come and check like door and locks all the time.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, a property inspection from like more of an expert is definitely something you're probably going to want to do because like you don't, you know, a novice like you or I or assumedly Donna from Miami can only see so much.
No, if you told me to inspect a property, I'd be like, okay,
looks good.
Great.
Yeah, right. I mean, like here's one thing I'd say, Donna, is HVAC.
Okay.
Yeah, last apartment I moved into, the AC did not work.
Oh, that's right. You had a problem with this.
Yeah,
right?
like
I forgot about this.
2-month-long disaster. It was like in the middle of July and August. It was so hot. AC was not working. There was a change in ownership, and the previous owner was supposed to fix it, and then didn't. And then it became this whole. I was living in an apartment as we were trying to get this fixed. There were like 9 different AC people coming in and out of my apartment just trying to fix this thing. Everyone, it was just a disaster. So I would definitely say, like, in the summer, AC, and in the winter, heating, depending on where you live, can be crucial. And I will tell you from experience, it is miserable living in an apartment. In like 100-degree heat without AC.
Yeah, one of the first apartments that I moved into after college was no electric heat. It was only like the baseboard heaters. So it was like you had to flip on each one of those individually, and they didn't work for like the first month of the winter. And if you're unfamiliar with winter in Midwest Ohio, it gets pretty cold.
Oh yeah.
Make sure that you get that stuff sorted out because I agree with Patrick. That is an inconvenience you just don't want to deal with. The middle of winter or the scorching summer heat and not having proper insulation, HVAC and stuff.
Right.
We talked about this kind of like looking like for immediate issues and stuff, exterior concerns. So like landscaping, that's probably not as like glaringly a problem for like safety hazards, but like you definitely want to take note of that kind of thing as well, right? Next question. Got Mark from Seattle, Washington, who manages several rental units in Seattle, who asked, as a property owner, I've faced the dilemma of choosing between short-term and long-term leases. What are the key advantages and challenges of each? Patrick, what are your opinions on short and long-term leases?
So straight off the dome, this is without consulting any resources, I'm thinking that short-term leases, you can make more money, right, in a short term. And I'm thinking like to bring it to the biggest example, or the most extreme example, Airbnb, right? Like the amount of money that you'll make per day is going to be higher, but it's going to be a lot more work because you're going to have more turnover, right? So more work for you to do. Then there's also, of course, the unknowns, right? Like with a short-term lease, can you find somebody then fill up the lease immediately? Or you could be like without a tenant for, I don't know, a couple months where you're not generating any revenue. Versus a long-term lease, in general, I feel like those leases are going to be a little bit more on that average, a little less money that you're generating, right? But like you're locked in for a year or whatever, where it's like guaranteed sort of income with less turnover. That's just like my gut.
I think your gut's absolutely right. I mean, I wasn't even really thinking about like Airbnbs and stuff. I mean, we've talked about that on prior episodes.
I was just using that as an example. But
it totally makes sense, right? I mean, you have like a short-term rental if it's like a vacation property or something like that. It's still like a technically a lease, even if it's only for a couple days. But if it's even like a shorter term, like let's say you have a beach house for a month or whatever, like you could make more money in that shorter period of time, but then you have to worry about being clean when they leave and like the turnover factor, like not having something guaranteed, like a guaranteed fluid source of income, you know? So I definitely think that's a great call out. You're a smart guy, Patrick.
Well, thank you, Zach.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then the opposite could just basically be said for long-term leases, right? It's consistent rental income, obviously. I mean, you have a tenant in there for like a long-term, like if they're in there for a year, they're in there for a year, and that's basically all you need to really do. I mean, you'll have to respond to maintenance stuff and everything like that, and then maybe you might have more issues pop up over a longer period of time.
Right.
But at least you've got that locked in. You've got a steady, consistent, expected stream of income.
Right.
And reduce turnover as well.
Right.
So
I mean, like
said,
even better if they just keep renewing the lease every year. You don't have to like, you know, if they're a good tenant, you don't have to find another one.
Yeah, we'll probably talk about this at some point with like applications and screening and like getting a good tenant. But if you have a good tenant, someone that you can rely on, someone that is dependable and that you think like, oh, this person will just keep renewing and extending and I've got a good tenant, I've got a good thing going. It's like, that's a nice thing in life to rely on.
One of like the best things as a landlord is a reliable
you have to
tenant,
imagine,
for
right?
sure.
So considering the market, right? So evaluate the demand in your area. Tourist-heavy areas may benefit more from these short-term leases, but urban, suburban regions may prefer long-term stability. I mean, I've rented for years in Cincinnati. I very rarely ever see like anything less than a 12-month lease for an area like this. But I'm sure like I said, the beach houses, probably, Miami, what up? Speaking of Will Smith, we talked about Men in Black earlier.
Yeah.
Welcome to Miami.
Welcome
you know,
to
it all's
Miami.
connected.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for writing in, Mark, from Seattle. You want to take this last bad boy?
I got it. Question number 3 is from Rachel from Chicago, Illinois, who owns a downtown condo. And she asks, how can I handle noise complaints from neighbors?
Oh, boy.
So my first, I don't know, because I feel like I'm not the one making the noise complaint typically.
You feel like you're the one making the noise?
I feel like I'm the one. Well, my neighbor...
Didn't you have someone complain to you for walking too loud?
Yeah, my neighbor below me. Really nice. Ended up being a really nice guy, but like the day I moved in, I got a knock on my door at like 2:30 a.m. And I was like, this is my brand new apartment. I'm kind of like, who's at my door at 2:30 a.m.? And so I go up there, he's like, hi, it's Paul from 301.
Oh, he's getting a call out too.
he came. He's like, you're kind of walking loud. I did feel bad about it, but I was ready to fight if that's what needed to happen. You know,
really?
Probably not.
That's the next Netflix marquee match. It's Paul versus Patrick.
Yeah, I was like,
sponsored by
hey,
Netflix.
who's knocking on my door at 2:30? The last thing that went in my head is the guy who lived below me, you know, who I'm walking too loud. But yeah, we ended up getting a good system, and he just kind of, you know, would text me if I'm. I feel like that would be my first gut is like it would be annoying if Paul immediately like goes to, you know, the authorities that I'm walking too loud. You know what I mean?
Like, I'd like to file a complaint. Or what was your voice? I'd like to file a complaint. Sounds kind of like Kermit.
That's not what my neighbor sounded like.
Come on the show, Paul. Email questions at therentishpod.com if you want to talk to Patrick about their noise complaint. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I've been the renter for years and years and years and years. But a smart move by the landlord to help reduce this in the first place is like taking noise reduction measures. The amount of places that I've lived that have like creaky wooden floors and they don't like make the steps to tell tenants like, hey, cover this much space with rug or put up curtains. And, you know, it's like I lived below a dude once that like I'm totally convinced woke up at 8 a.m. every morning and put his boombox right on the floor. Literally just a radio and aimed it down every day at 8 a.m. and would play like ZZ Top and shit. And it's like, I curse on the podcast. That's all right. We're fine.
Producer's problem in post.
You did drop the S-bomb on.
That was not me. That was Steve from Indiana.
That was from Indiana.
Yeah, that's Indiana.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I think that you could do a lot of small measures as a landlord to put blankets down, or not blankets. You put carpets down, carpets or rugs or something where it's like, hey, we know that this might be an issue, but we can take some measures to help prevent it.
All right, let's say I got a hypothetical for you here, Zach.
Yeah,
what's a measure? Okay, hypothetically, let's say you're a senior in college, your roommates and you are hosting a party in your yard/garage, and you have a giant $300 speaker that you turn up to max. And then within 45 seconds of playing it, a cop pulls up to you and says, here's a $175 ticket. I heard like a G6 from the hospital. Gives you a ticket that says played like a G6 and could hear it from the hospital. What are your thoughts on that?
I have a hunch that this actually might be a real story and not a hypothetical.
Completely hypothetical.
Really?
I just can't. Yeah.
I would tell the officer, I'm so sorry I was playing like a G6 when I could have been playing anything else.
we did, hypothetically, if that happened to us, we did frame that ticket and put it on the fridge.
That's beautiful.
Like a G6 from the hospital. So
anyways. That's a great hypothetical, Patrick.
Yes,
I appreciate you sharing but not sharing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just hypothetically.
Well, thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Rent-ish podcast. Patrick, did you have a good time today?
I had a good time. Did you?
I did. Thank you for asking. Yeah, we covered a lot of ground today. We got another Tenant horror story. We talked about the Guggenheim. We answered some listener questions. Again, we appreciate everyone out there for listening. Please like the podcast. Follow us on your podcast platform of choice. If you're out there, give us a 5-star review or a 10-star review if you can. Get as many
11.
stars as possible. 11, yeah. Give us share it with your friends. If you have other friends that are interested in property management, real estate podcasting, this is a good one, and I think we're going to have a fun time on this adventure together. And again, questions at therentishpod.com. Email us your questions. We'd love to answer them on the air. And, you maybe throw in one about, movies or something like that. If you want Patrick and I to talk about movies or TV or just random stuff. If you just want to ask how our day's going or what our plans are for the holidays, throw that on in there.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody.